If ever David's life, King David's life, reached a low point, it must surely have been in his relationship with Bathsheba. I guess it was a hot, lazy day when David noticed Bathsheba in the distance, bathing, and something flared up within him, instinct, which said to himself, I've got to have her. I mean, regardless of the fact that she was married to one of the finest men in David's army, Uriah. David sends a message to Bathsheba, summons her to his palace. Bathsheba is given an order, you better go, and she has no right to refuse that. And there is a relationship, and Bathsheba becomes pregnant. And you know what happens there? David realizes that he has been compromised, and that this will be a huge, huge scandal, not only in the palace but throughout the kingdom, that he will lose immense credibility. And he begins to plot and plan a way of escape, which lands up eventually in the killing of Uriah. Yeah, this is David, remember? And it underlines what we said yesterday. In 2 Samuel, we witness the descent of David from being an upright, good guy to the guy who really is so compromised and who has to live through scandal after scandal. I mean, what has gone on here? What has gone wrong? Well, you'll find the story in 2 Samuel chapter 11. You should read it for yourself and find out what happens. Bathsheba is pregnant, and the only way is the murder of Uriah for David to get out. So besides becoming an adulterer, David in effect is a murderer as well, until one day he's confronted by Nathan the prophet, who tells him a story of a man who had a little lamb, and he treasured this little lamb. And there was another man who was a rich man who had plenty of animals, and people come suddenly as guests to the house of this rich man, and he has to put on a meal for them. And rather than using from his own flock, he takes the one little lamb from the poor man, the lamb that man doted upon. And David gets angry when he hears the story and says, whoever that man is, bring him to me. That man must surely die who did that to that poor man. And Nathan turns around and says, you are the man. It's a huge, huge sin that David has committed. And of course we know that Psalm 51 follows that confession that David has to make, and we'll look at Psalm 51 tomorrow. Suffice it here today to say, let's be very careful. The Christian life is like a form of spiritual warfare. We are assailed on every side by temptations and challenges, and it is so easy just to give way to the passions of the flesh, give way to instincts. So let me leave you with some words today that I first learned from the biography of Eric Liddell, that great Scottish sprinter who was the subject of that great film, Chariots of Fire. He landed up in a Japanese prisoner of war camp, and where men and women were all huddled together. And he says there were many temptations available for the men. And I guess he includes himself in that. And he said he was sustained by few words that he kept repeating to himself. And here they are. I would be true, for there are those who trust me. I would be pure, for there are those who care. I would be strong, for there is much to suffer. I would be brave, for there is much to dare. So friends, fight the good fight. Yeah, Jesus was tempted in every respect as we were. We can't keep the birds from flying over our heads, but we can keep them from nesting in our hair. Let us be alert and let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. God bless you.